Yes, we start on the Punch newspapers this morning to share with you some of the major stories. The big one there says federal allocations, oil producing states borrow 1.3 trillion naira amid 6.4 trillion naira windfall. Pandef, others ask Niger Delta governors to showcase development projects. Oil producing states receive 1.9 trillion naira as derivation fund under Buhari, says minister. And also 13% derivation includes DES-PADEC funds, money judiciously spent, says Delta. But if you drive to Delta, you might argue,
about
strongly,
the judiciously
exactly, about
spending.
this judicious spending. Because I'm not sure exactly what they are talking about. And if you have followed the World Cup and seen a lot of the comments from Nigerians, a lot of people are asking if it's the same oil that Qatar has and the UAE has, that Nigeria has. And it's a legitimate question.
Well, those are people that adequately planned their countries, they planned their states, and just looked for how to better the lives of their citizens as opposed to plunder the Commonwealth.
Well, all right, let's move on. Still on the Punch. Fuel queues grow longer after federal government sufficiency claim. That's on page 34 of the Punch. And also, stop using thugs, NSA warns governors. Politicians behind attacks on INEC facilities, says Jega. And also, governors stealing local government funds, says Buhari. NULGE backs the president. A few others on the Punch this morning. Oyetola Adeleke disagree over 76 billion naira unpaid salaries and pensions. And cultists shoot ex-student dead in Yabatek, suspect nabbed. Finally, Aisha, Nan's plans protest, tweets knock critic. These are the major stories on the Punch newspapers this morning.
Nance was trending sometime yesterday, and they were saying, the speech that Nance put out, or the statement, wasn't bad until they got to the point where they apologized. And you're apologizing for what? Anyway, let's move away from the Punch newspaper, still looking at what's happening in Nigeria. On the First newspaper this morning, on the front page of First News, we can see the big story there, revealed how governors pilfer local government allocations. And this is according to President Muhammadu Buhari. So, this is a big reveal on how governors pilfer allocations. Now, we see the sub stories here. Cites personal experience involving unnamed governor. Ooh, interesting. Accuses governors of remitting only half of funds allocated to council chairmen, pocketing the balance. It seems like, the way they say that when people are older, when they've gotten to an older age, they are able to curse more. They're able to say whatever is on their minds without feeling like anybody is going to. Because really, what are they afraid of? It seems like now that President Muhammadu Buhari is about to leave the office, we're seeing a lot of all these things. He may not have said this earlier,
But the thing is, fair point. But the thing is, I think they've always known. Like these aren't.
So they've always known, but now he can vocalize it. Before now he would.
I remember in 2017 there was the NFIU directive, that of course was given by his government, that directed that all funds for local government should go straight to the local government offices and not to the governors. That has been in place since 2017. I don't think a lot changed since then. Because most times these local government chairmen are extremely loyal to the governors of the states. And so they really cannot argue if the governors take those funds and give them what they feel like.
Anyway, still on the front page this morning, Tribunal. INEC presents blurry Adeleke's testimonial. Oyetola. Campaigns, restrain your thugs now, NSA warns governors. Adeleke, Oyetola disagree over Osun death profile. And the Osun state, or the state of Osun, depending, seems to be in the news a lot lately. Poor People's Money tweets Aisha Buhari to testify against students. Okay, that's an interesting update. Labour Party sacks Peter Obi's DG, Okukwe 10 orders. Ogun 2023, court dismisses Lawal suit, affirms Adebutu as rightful PDP candidate. Another African side, Morocco roar past Canada into World Cup last 16. At the top of the paper we have G5 comments, CGN must resign, 52 Northern. Okay, and we have two more stories here. 13% derivation arrest. Wike launches fresh attacks on Niger Delta. Aisha Buhari, Nance embarks on nationwide protest on Monday. So from Monday next week, the Association of Nigerian Students will embark on a strike. And the final story this morning, some CBN NPA workers earn bigger salaries than Buhari, according to RMAFC chairman. That's okay. Did you hear that? That some CBN and NPA workers earn more money than the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Illegally or legally?
Well, so when they talk about salaries, if we're being fair, a lot of what they call salaries, not just salaries, because you are considering what the salary alone is. You're not considering all the many allocations, allowances, travel allowance, security. There's so much allowances. So if you look at it holistically, I don't know how very realistic this statement might be.
Yeah, but so I'm going to just assume that there is some illegality in it. That might be what you're talking about. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, that's it on the first newspapers. There's so much, that we would have to or would figure out if we can unpack, from that newspaper. But let's move to Zimbabwe and see what's on the Newsday newspapers. It says here, and of course this is, this is expected across the continent. Prices soar ahead of Christmas in Zimbabwe. And also Chisano to lead Zim re-engagement drive. That's on page 3. And also explosive smuggling rife. That's the ZACC. It says Zimbabweans are reportedly smuggling explosives for use in committing crimes in neighboring South Africa. Newsday has learned. Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission chairperson revealed this during a high-level National Anti-Corruption Strategy Steering Committee meeting in Harare yesterday. It says recently explosives were also smuggled from Zimbabwe to South Africa, and during a recent meeting, I was made to understand that explosives were used to hit ATMs in South Africa. So that's pretty shocking. These are the stories on the Newsday newspapers, as usual, not very many of them that Newsday puts on their front page.
Because they can't even be bothered. Very easy, breezy front page. All right, now let's head to Kenya and see what's happening on the front page. We have the Daily Nation in Kenya, and the big story here says, test just concluded grade 6 exam will not be used for placement to GSS. Now, in case you don't understand what this means, it means that they are already changing the system of education. Usually most countries, Nigeria, for example, it was 6334, right? Kenya is, anyway, I'm just going to read the details. Junior high, Ruto reverses Uhuru's plan. CBC at a glance. So I'm going to read some of the expectations of what they said is being done. Number 1, junior secondary schools grades 7, 8, and 9 will be domiciled in the existing primary schools. Just concluded grade 6 exams will not be used for placement in junior secondary school. So okay, imagine this. An extra classroom and laboratory will be built in every primary school, which is good. Primary school teachers handling grade 7, 8, and 9 to be retrained and retooled. 1,287,597 is the total number of registered learners for just concluded grade 6 test. 30,000 additional teachers to be recruited by January 2023 to facilitate transition and bridge gaps. And March 2023 is the time when task force is expected to present final report. So, in summary, all of this is trying to say that whilst they are trying to phase out the current system of education, the decision means that learners will remain in primary school for 9 years, the longest in the world, as the country phases out the 844 education system. So, Osage, imagine being in grade 6, you've written the exams, your parents have told all your uncles and your aunties that, oh, Osage is going to boarding house. He's just written his grade 6 exams. Then they come and put a new law that pupils will now remain for 9 years in primary school.
9 years?
Yes. So this is the longest in the world. Longest.
So what there's going to be grade 7, grade 8, grade 9?
Yeah. So basically it's no more, typically they'll finish, it's now grade 6 will stay back. So primary school teachers handling 7, 8, and 9 will be retrained, they say. And imagine this grade 6 test we're talking about, 1,287,597 pupils wrote this exam. So over 1 million of them, thinking they're going to secondary school, are going to stay back. That's what it is.
So when they get into secondary school, are they going to go straight into senior secondary school?
If you ask me now, who I go ask? Well, that's what the update is here. Interesting one there. If you want to find out the details, get a copy of the Daily Nation. Still on the front page, 2027 factor in plot to reconstitute polls agency. Politics, we have here Kenya Kwanzaa to back powerful opposition office. The details there, President William Ruto's UDA party yesterday said that it will back a proposed move by the Raila Odinga-led Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition to create the office of the official leader of opposition. The details of that's on page 5. Then still on the front page, borrowers gobble up 413 million shillings from Hustlers Fund. We still have another one here in the world of sport athletics. How Kenya escaped global athletics ban by a narrow margin. They say Stitch in Time saves 9. And a letter shared at the World Athletics Council meeting in Rome on Thursday saved the country from an imminent ban over doping. Kenya is always in the news for this reason. I'm hoping that it can be sorted out and we don't have to keep seeing their names and their athletes coming up with anti-doping doping bans. We don't want to see that. Final story here. In her father's footsteps, Charlene Ruto, the president's daughter and political heir apparent, says she has been crisscrossing the country, meeting governors, MCAs, and community leaders on page 3. That's all I can take this morning on the front page of the Daily Nation.